What is a desert? When you hear the word desert, do you think of a hot, dry place where nothing grows and everything is covered by sand? Some deserts fit this description, but you might be surprised to learn that not all deserts are sandy or completely barren or even hot. The one word that describes all deserts is dry. The essential feature of any desert is its dryness, or aridity. One way of assessing the dryness of a place is by measuring how many inches of precipitation it gets in an average year. Most deserts get less than 10 inches of precipitation a year. Compare that meager 10 inches with the average yearly precipitation in some major American cities. New York City receives about 42 inches of precipitation every year, Chicago gets 35 inches, New Orleans, 61 inches. San Francisco, nearly 20 inches, Dallas, 29 inches, even hot and dry Los Angeles receives nearly 15 inches. Even when it does rain in the desert, very little water from the rain can be used by plants and animals. Sudden thunderstorms cause heavy rainfall, but the water quickly washes away in flash floods. A light shower occasionally develops over a desert area, but, because the air is so dry, most of the rain evaporates before it touches the ground. The strength of the sun is also a factor. When temperatures are very high, as they are in many deserts, evaporation speeds up, so the water has less time to soak into the parched soil. Many deserts are hot as well as dry. Not surprisingly, deserts near the equator tend to be the hottest. In the Sahara in Africa, daytime temperatures routinely soar well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest temperature ever recorded was in the northern Sahara, where thermometers once reached 136 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest temperature in the United States was not much cooler. 134 degrees Fahrenheit was measured at Death Valley in California. Deserts far from the equator do not have the scorchingly hot temperatures of the Sahara. Indeed, during the winter, these deserts can be freezing cold. The average winter temperature in the Gobi in northern China is 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And there are even colder deserts farther north. One thing that both hot and cold deserts have in common is a dramatic change between daytime and nighttime temperatures. At night, the temperature in a hot desert can drop anywhere from 30 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. We usually think of deserts as full of sand dunes. Some deserts do contain vast seas of sand, but other deserts have little or no sand. Only about 2% of North American deserts are covered with sand. The Sahara, famous for its sand dunes, is only about 10% sand covered. Just as deserts can exhibit a wide range of temperatures, so they can contain many different types of landforms. Deserts can have mountains, plateaus, or plains. Some are covered with gravel, bare bedrock, or sand. Sometimes the desert landscape is scarred and crisscrossed with ravines, gullies, and canyons caused by rushing water from flash floods. On those rare occasions when rain does fall, the water runs downhill, carving a path through the thin soil. Eventually the path turns into a ditch, the ditch into a gully, and the gully into a ravine. Desert winds also shape landscape. The wind blows whatever thin topsoil there is away, leaving behind sand, rock, or gravel. Deserts can be pretty bleak places, but it is wrong to assume that they are completely barren. Although deserts can be difficult places for people to live, some groups of people have managed to live in them. There also are many animals and plants that thrive in the harsh climate of the desert. Now you may ask how anything can live in a place with so little water and such extreme temperatures. The key factor for people, animals, and plants is the ability to adapt to the environment. The giant saguaro cactus grows in the deserts of southern Arizona and northern Mexico. To survive in the desert, the cactus has adapted to the environment in several ways. Its stem is fleshy and thick, allowing it to store enormous amounts of water. It has no leaves that could lose moisture. And it spreads its roots in a wide area near the surface of the soil. This enables it to absorb as much water as possible during the infrequent rains. Camels live in the Sahara and other deserts. Camels can go for long periods of time without drinking. The North American kangaroo rat is even more ideally adapted to desert life. It can survive its entire lifetime without sipping a drop of water. It gets moisture from seeds and plant leaves, which contain small amounts of water. However, its primary adaptation is the special water recycling system in its own body. The kangaroo rat's kidneys recycle water internally. The animal loses very little water through natural processes. When a kangaroo rat has to relieve itself, it leaves behind not a stream of liquid urine but a patch of crystals. Many desert animals, including rats, mice, squirrels, and lizards, are nocturnal. They avoid the harsh heat of the daytime by burrowing deep into the ground and coming out only at night. People too have learned how to survive in the desert. Over the years, we have learned that even the driest deserts often have a few locations where there is water. A desert place with good, drinkable water is called an oasis. An oasis has water for drinking and growing plants. People have learned how to travel across deserts and how to protect themselves from the heat, wind, and cold. Native Americans have carved out a living in the American deserts of the Southwest. People live in the great deserts of Africa and Asia too. If nothing else, the desert environment has made these people tough and strong. Why do people continue to go into the desert, even though it can be a dangerous place for human beings? For thousands of years, people have been attracted to the desert. Some go in search of gold and other minerals, such as oil. Some go for spiritual reasons, like the ancient prophets of the Bible, who roamed the desert wilderness to be alone with their God. Others go for the warm, dry weather. Still others are simply attracted to the mystery of the desert, its silence, the beauty of its barren rocks and sand, and its clear night skies filled with millions of stars. Over the years, humans have found ways to transform the desert by bringing in water and making the desert bloom. Some Native Americans of the Southwest used irrigation to bring water to their crops. Today irrigation is more important than at any time in the past. People have built gigantic dams and transported water hundreds of miles to places where it is needed. They have turned desert areas in the southwestern United States, Israel, and Egypt into population center with prosperous farm and big cities. In other parts of the world, however, desert areas are growing. In some parts of Africa, desertification is a major problem. African farmers in need of farmland have cleared and planted semi-arid lands near the edges of the Sahara. When farm animals nibble away the plants in these areas and farmers use the scattered brush for fuel, there is little or nothing left to hold back the winds. Often these winds blow away the thin topsoil and blow in desert sand. When farm animals nibble away the plants in these areas and farmers use the scattered brush for fuel, there is little or nothing left to hold back the winds. Often these winds blow away the thin topsoil and blow in desert sand. So although desert areas may be shrinking in one part of the world, they are growing in another. Today about 20% of the world is desert. Changes in weather patterns, together with changes in the way people treat the land, will determine if that number shrinks, grows, or stays the same.